The air is thick with the smell of blood and ozone. Three great masters, the last pillars of their alliance, stand before a single, wounded figure. They are Namgung Huang, the proud head of the Namgung clan, Haiyan Jinshin, the righteous Shaolin abbot, and Zhang Guang, the swift manhua sect leader. Seeing their enemy panting, Namgung Huang sneers, believing his opponent is finally spent. That thing is definitely worn out now. Zhang Guang grips his sword, his eyes blazing with hatred. We must kill him now. The abbot, Haiyan Jinshin, steps forward first, his palms pressed together as he chants a solemn prayer. Amitba. He then roars, "Prepare yourselves," thrusting his hands forward to unleash his ultimate technique. A massive, golden wave of energy in the shape of a hand materializes, hurtling toward the fiend, demonic god. This is the legendary Great Buddha Palm. But as the abbot attacks, the other two masters see their chance. Now's the time. Zhang Guang vanishes in a plum blossom flash, his blade aimed at the demonic god's back, while Namgung Huang calls energy from the sky, shouting 10,000 thunders return as one. The abbot, realizing his allies are launching a combined assault, shouts a final blessing for their foe's soul. May you be reborn in paradise. His prayer, however, turns to a gasp of pure horror. What? In the split second of chaos, the demonic god has moved. He stands right in front of the abbot, his eyes cold and empty. The abbot's body freezes, his ultimate attack dissolving into nothing. The demonic god looks past him at the other two attackers and whispers one chilling word. Next. A moment later, the Shaolin abbot, Haiyan Jinshin, is dead. A surviving warrior from a lesser sect screams, his mind breaking at the sight. A monster. This monster has a name, Zhang Qion, the demonic god. He is the calamity who single-handedly drowned the Central Plains in blood, a threat so great that the elites of all 9 great sects gathered just to stop him. Yet, even against their combined might, the alliance was driven to the brink of annihilation. Now, only 2 masters remain. Zhang Guang, his face slick with sweat, screams at his partner, "Hey old man, did you prepare the trap?" Namgung Huang, his robes torn, grits his teeth and confirms it. "Of course. It's ready. It's your grave, you bastard." With their final surge of strength, they attack. Zhang Guang unleashes the endless plum blossom rain, a hurricane of razor-sharp energy petals. At the same time, Namgung Huang pours all his power into his blade, executing the Namgung sword art, 5th form, dragon demon slaying slash, erupting in a massive explosion. Zhang Qion roars in agony, "Qua!" But as the smoke clears, a horrifying sight is revealed. Zhang Guang, the Mount Hua sect leader, is dead, impaled by an impossibly fast counterattack. Zhang Qion, though bleeding from a dozen new wounds, straightens his back and grins through the pain. "Namgung, you rat bastard. That really hurts." Namgung Huang's blood runs cold. "What?" In a final, desperate rage, he charges, screaming, "Die already, you filthy cultist of the demonic sect." But Zhang Qion is already moving, his voice a low, terrifying promise. "It ends here. Your stubborn life ends here." Namgung feels a blinding flash of pain as the demonic god's hand pierces straight through his chest. In his last, fading moments, Namgung looks down at his own sword, which is buried deep in the demonic god's heart. How? I pierced his heart, so how the hell? He realizes the terrible truth too late. This man has surpassed human limits. He is truly the demonic god. With that final, terrified thought, Namgung Huang, head of the Namgung clan, is dead. The battle is over. The 9 great sects, the most powerful forces in the land, are annihilated. Zhang Qion, the demonic god, stands alone on the mountain of corpses, his body broken and bleeding out. His 15-year quest is finally complete. His vengeance is finished. He sinks to his knees, his breath clouding in the cold air, and whispers the names of those he fought for. Yanawa, Suka, Yana. He looks up at the sky, his voice barely audible. Was this enough? As his life fades, his memories flash before his eyes. He is a young boy again, being struck by his master. "You arrogant brat, what makes you so cocky?" He remembers the start of his path in the martial world, a wandering life of brawling each day just to survive. It was an endless cycle of meaningless killings, and he had wondered, Could such a life hold any meaning? Then, he remembers her. A kind woman who understood his pain, comparing his struggles to her own clashes at the marketplace. She told him how, after losing her parents, her younger siblings became her reason to live again. She smiled at him, the great hero Zhang Qion, and offered him a new path. Why not create such meaning for yourself too? In that moment, he realized, I wanted to live with you. She became the reason for life, to one who only knew killing. But that life was stolen from him, forcing him to raise a sword. Again for vengeance. Now, gazing at the rising sun, his body covered in countless wounds, he finally lets go. His blood-soaked sword falls from his hand. Here lies the demonic god, Jik Qion. Death is not quiet. It is loud. It's so noisy. Zhang Qion's eyes snap open. He is not in the afterlife. He is not on the battlefield. He is in a small, weak body, looking at his tiny hands. So I come to hell after all? He is surrounded by people who are shouting. A large, angry-looking man is arguing with a woman. You want my son to succeed the Nama family's secret martial arts. He mentions someone's unfortunate accident. Zhang Qion is completely bewildered. What is this? Is this not hell? The woman fires back. Absolutely not. She insists her elder brother is alive and well, and that the family's arts belong to the Yoma family. The large man smirks, deciding to end the argument with a cruel proposal. He offers to wager money against the entire martial legacy of a man named Wang Mujin. The terms are simple. We fight, and the winner takes it all. The woman is horrified, recognizing the obvious trick. My brother couldn't even begin training because of his madness. As the noisy chatter continues, the legendary warrior has had enough. The small boy, now possessed by the demonic god, stands up. The room falls silent. Hey, the boy asks, his voice chillingly calm. Who the hell is this Wang Mujin anyway? Before anyone can process the question, the boy looks at them with the ancient, terrifying eyes of a conqueror and makes a declaration. I am the demonic god, Zhang Qion. In the stark light of the open courtyard, two men face each other, the air tense between them. One, Chang Dabo, the arrogant second son of the Changhua Merchant Guild, smirks at the long-haired man before him. What? And who are you? He demands. The other man, his expression unreadable, replies with a calm voice that seems to carry an ancient weight. Zhang Qion, he says, they call me the demonic god. Dabo lets out a sharp laugh, dismissing the name entirely. The demonic god? That's hardly amusing anymore, he scoffs, suggesting he might as well call himself the king of the underworld. From the side, the Changhua Merchant Guild's master, Bu Choyan, adds her own cold assessment, her voice dripping with disdain. She tuts, claiming the fate of the Yoma clan is already sealed with an heir like him. But Dabo has lost his patience. There's nothing more to say, he snaps. Taking the man's silence as agreement, Dabo sets the terms. Then let me know. On the 5th day of next month, we'll meet at the Flying Shadow Pavilion. He throws a final warning over his shoulder, a promise of consequences should he fail to appear. But as the group walks away, as the antagonists depart, two small children cautiously approach. The young girl, her eyes wide with worry, looks up at the man. What are you going to do? She whispers. You've never even properly swung a sword before. Her words strike a dissonant chord within him. Never once swung a sword? He repeats internally, a flash of his true, forgotten power sparking in his mind. How amusing. He tries to call on his strength, to muster the immense power he knows should be there. But nothing happens. A cold dread washes over him as he stares at his hands. It's gone? Panic begins to rise. What the hell is this? I don't have a shred of internal energy. He looks down at his own body with horror. And what's with this frail body? The bones are so frail. Can this body even hold a sword? His crisis deepens. Seeing his elder brother's distress, pleads with him. Brother, please, come to your senses. The girl, however, shows no such sympathy, calling him a fool and an idiot. Still reeling, the man tries to scold her for insulting her elder brother, but the girl explodes in a torrent of grief and rage. No, I won't. She screams, tears streaming down her face. It's all because of you that our parents are dead. The accusation hangs in the air, a devastating blow that leaves him stunned into silence. The boy quickly apologizes for his sister and pulls her away, leaving the man to walk off alone, lost in a haze of confusion. How strange, he murmurs to himself. Even the children treat me like a lunatic. He wanders the estate as the sun sets, the sky burning orange, and finds himself before a tall memorial stone. His mind is a storm of fractured memories. He remembers his past life. I clearly beheaded the Namgung clan head. My heart was pierced. I even fulfilled vengeance. And surely, I must have closed my eyes in peace. The memories are vivid, undeniable. So why am I in this body? He questions. How the hell did this happen? Everyone thinks he is mad, a lunatic. As he grapples with this impossible reality, a man comes running, calling out to him. Young master, the man, a retainer, is frantic with worry. You went out again in such a frail state. Do you know how worried I was for you? The man in dark robes just stares at him. And you are? The retainer's face falls, a look of sad recognition dawning. Ah, he sighs, it seems the madness has struck again. Understood. I'll explain. He introduces himself as Masak, a Yoma clan retainer, and confirms the man's new identity. Wamujin, the heir of the Yoma clan. Masak reminds him that he was once a genius, a prodigy with exceptional talent. That is you, my young master, Masak says, his voice heavy with sorrow, and this is the 6,205th time I've explained it. Wamujin, the soul of the demonic god, trapped in this new body, is skeptical. If I was that great, he challenges, why is my dantian like this now? And madness, they say. Why does everyone treat me like I'm insane? Masak's expression darkens as he recounts the tragedy that befell him. It happened 17 years ago. A flashback reveals a young, 6-year-old Wamujin challenging a 9-year-old Chong Dabo to a duel. The rule was a fair fight, with no internal energy allowed. But in the midst of the fight, Dabo, with a cruel sneer, called the young Mujin a fool and unleashed a devastating, forbidden technique. The 7 wounds fist of the Gongdong sect. The young Dabo stood over the fallen Mujin, boasting that even one strike leaves lasting aftereffects and that he'd recently tested it on another disciple who was still hovering near death. Back in the present, the horrifying truth dawns on Wamujin. So that's why I'm treated like a lunatic, he says, the pieces falling into place. If the aftereffects of the 7 wounds fist caused this, it makes sense. But this understanding quickly turns to a cold, sharp anger. You crippled my dantian, turned me into a lunatic, he thinks, remembering Dabo's challenge, and now shamelessly challenged me to a duel. He asks Masak how his family responded to this atrocity. The answer is sickening. Masak explains that because Chong Dabo was the heir to the powerful Chonghua Merchant Guild, Mujin's own father, the former clan head, let the entire matter slide with just a severe scolding. While Mujin is filled with disgust. So his son is crippled. And all he did was scold him? What a pathetic family. He then asks the question that has been lingering in the air since the children's accusation. And where are my parents now? Masak takes him to the ancestral shrine, explaining the grim reality. Wamujin's madness only worsened, and his father, the clan head, fell into massive debt trying to find a cure. 9 years ago, his mother's illness worsened, and she passed away. 3 years after that, burdened by debts and grief, his father also passed. The clan fell to ruin, and he was branded a monster. A son who tormented his parents until their deaths. A child who devoured his parents, leaving only his younger siblings to suffer. Now, all that remains are the debts, a few loyal retainers, and his 2 younger siblings, Wat Dojin and Wa Soyan. Mujin finally understands the girl's hatred. A family ruined because of one illness. Alone in his room, Wamujin confirms from history books that his old self, the demonic god Zhang Qion, truly died 30 years ago. This is not a dream. He has been reincarnated into the body of Wamujin. His old life is over, his vengeance complete. As he processes this, he finds 2 childish drawings. Get well soon, brother, from Wa Dojin, and please recover quickly, from Wa Soyan. A flicker of empathy stirs within him. My younger siblings, their story is tragic, like those I once knew. A new resolve forms, so I'll have to live in this body after all. Perhaps I should help those children, even for a while. To do that, he must first deal with the greatest obstacle, the cause of all this ruin, the Chonghua Merchant Guild. His first trial is set. The first thing to prepare for is the duel with Chong Dabo on the 5th day of next month. He must start over from the very beginning. He sits and begins to meditate, attempting to cultivate energy. The feeling is nostalgic, reminding him of when he first learned martial arts. He is shocked to find this new body's natural talent is exceptional. He doesn't even need to search for the chi, just closing his eyes is enough. A warm, golden energy begins to flow, but it's immediately followed by excruciating, unbearable pain. He collapses, his body convulsing, as two clan elders, Duke Baixin and Zhou Huanbong, watch him with barely concealed disappointment. One of them checks his pulse and seems annoyed. TCH, why did he get healthier? His pulse, in fact, is stronger than ever. Writhing on the floor, Mujin demands answers from Masak. What is this body? Does forming a dantian cause such pain? Masak confirms his worst fears. A Shaolin elder once identified this body as having the heavenly martial constitution, a body blessed by heaven to walk the righteous path. While Mujin lets out a bitter, pained laugh. It is a constitution that is utterly incompatible with demonic arts. Masak explains that if he tries to cultivate his demonic techniques, the pain will be unbearable, and it could even lead to his death. Of all the cursed luck, damn it, he gasps, the reality of his situation setting in. The duel is next month. This is seriously bad. As he struggles to breathe, Mujin's sharp eyes notice the two elders, Baixin and Huanbong. The clan heir collapses, and they wear those expressions. He thinks, noting their cold indifference. He had heard them whispering, saying it was time to prepare our hearts. Masak glares at the elders, his hatred for them clear. As other retainers crowd around, pleading for their young master not to die, a new fire ignites in Mujin's eyes. Through gritted teeth, he makes a vow, not just to them, but to himself and his new, tragic siblings. I won't die, damn it. A shrill, panicked voice shatters the quiet of the room. Young master, are you sure you're really all right? Masak, the young retainer, is frantic, his arms waving in the air. You were lying down for 3 whole days. Mujin, the man possessed by the soul of the demonic god, sits up, a hand pressed to his temple. The backlash from forming a dantian in his heavenly martial constitution had been agonizing, and the 3-day coma proves it. Damned body, he thinks, his patience wearing thin. I'll die before I even get to a duel. He glares at his wailing attendant. Quiet down, he snaps. You're making me look bad. His mind is already on the next, practical step. More importantly, if I'm going to duel, I'll need a sword. He gives the simple command, go get me a few swords right now. Masak's panic immediately deflates, replaced by a deep, weary despair. We're at a point where we should be worrying about our next meal. He looks at his master, his eyes full of crushing reality. Where's the money to buy a sword? Mujin, the demonic god who never once had to consider such trivial matters, is stunned. Is there no money left in this damn house? Masak explains their dire situation. The family is borrowing from a loan syndicate, and because of their outrageous interest rates, the debts have become enormous. The truth settles on Mujin with the weight of chains. Truly a fallen family. He processes this new, infuriating obstacle. Looks like we need to solve the money problems first, huh? Masak nods miserably, but his master's next words send a jolt of pure terror through him. If that's the case, it's just more debt. What's the big deal if we add a bit more? Before Masak can even form a protest, Mujin is already walking to the door. Stop your complaining, he orders, his mind set. He gives one last, chillingly strategic command. Write a letter to the two elders. Say that I'm going for a walk. The news of the mad heir's plan travels fast. In another part of the estate, the two treacherous elders react. Young master, Wa went to the loan syndicate again. One elder scoffs. Won't the loan syndicate just turn him away? But the other, Du Baixin, knows the danger, or rather, the opportunity. That's not the problem, he says, a hidden concern in his voice. If he carelessly harasses the loan syndicate, those minor lawless factions might get in dash. His words cut off, but the implication is clear. The young master may be walking to his death. Meanwhile, while Mujin arrives at the syndicate's headquarters, a rough, loud establishment reeking of cheap wine and desperation. He walks straight to the hulking gatekeeper. Hey, big guy, tell your leader. While Mujin of the Yomwa clan wants to see him. The guard, Kong Noho, doesn't even look up. If you came to gamble, don't say useless things. and play quietly and be gone. Mujin, with the unearned audacity of a king, just pushes. What? You can't. This insult, coming from a frail-looking noble, enrages the guard. What, you punk? As he raises a hand, Masak throws himself to the ground, bowing and scraping. Ouch! No, my lord. Our young master is just a bit sick. The commotion draws a new figure. What's going on? This man, Ma Jungbo, carries a different air, one of authority. He eyes the pathetic scene and asks Mujin, "You want to meet the leader?" "What for?" While Mujin stands perfectly still amidst the hostile crowd, his face a mask of calm. He gives the one answer no one expected: to borrow more money. The deputy leader, Ma Jungbo, actually pauses. This isn't a threat or a plea for mercy. This is a customer. "So you're a customer," he says, a predatory smile touching his lips. "If that's the case, there's no need to see the leader. Come inside." He turns and walks, leading them deeper into the den. Masak, his face white with terror, grabs his master's sleeve. "Young master, let's go back now." As they're led down a dark, ominous hallway, Masak's panic grows. He babbles in a desperate whisper, "I have a bad feeling." A few days ago, the old woman at the market tea house saw two assassins. Chest was sliced open. They mastered twin ruinous force, moon-slaying heaven technique. He's trying to make his master understand the very real, very immediate danger. Wamujin, the demonic god who has faced armies, is utterly unimpressed by the technique's grandiose name. And so, Ma Jungbo, walking ahead, hears the entire exchange and chuckles. Seems the servant is quicker on the uptake, he mocks, but what a shame. It seems it's too late to just turn back. A heavy door slides shut behind them, sealing them in. The room they enter is not an office. It's an execution chamber, lined with armed thugs. "Begin." Wamujin's eyes dart around, his mind cold and analytical. Was this your intention from the start? He understands. They couldn't just instant kill him at the crowded entrance, not even the heir of a fallen clan. But in here, he's just another body. You can't even pay the principal, let alone interest. Ma Jungbo sneers. "I'm not going to let you bleed me dry like your parents did." Masak collapses, begging for their lives, but the taunt strikes Mujin in an unexpected way. His true self, the orphan Zhang Qion, answers. "What? Like my parents?" His voice is flat. "I never had parents." For a brief second, he's annoyed at his own slip-up. Damn it. For a moment, I mistook him for my old self. Ma Jungbo, taking this as more madness, just sighs. "Just rough him up a little." A massive thug roars, "At your command," and lunges with a cry of die. Whoosh. The giant fist hits empty air. Wamujin is suddenly 3 feet to the left, completely untouched. The thug stares, enraged. "Karg, that rat-like punk." His comrades mock him, but Mujin's mind is working. With this rotten body, this method is better than a direct fight. He has no strength, no internal energy, but he has the unparalleled battle instincts of the demonic god. Since strength won't work, using movement arts is the best way to go. Ma Jungbo, watching from the sidelines, grows impatient. "What you all doing? Hurry up and finish it." Spurred on, the thugs all charge at once, a messy pile of flailing limbs and angry shouts. Mujin doesn't fight, he weaves. He's water flowing around rocks. He ducks under one punch, steps inside another's guard, and uses one thug as a shield from another. A goon shouts now, and swings. Mujin ducks. The punch connects squarely with an ally's jaw. Kahik! One by one, the brutes go down, victims of their own clumsy, redirected momentum, until they lie in a groaning pile. Masak's jaw is on the floor. "Are you all right, young master?" Mujin brushes dust from his shoulder, his voice bored. "Can't you see?" The attendant is baffled. "Where did you learn such martial arts?" Mujin gives a half-truth, his mind on his past life. "This isn't martial arts. These are things I naturally picked up from living on the rough streets." Ma Jungbo has seen enough. The amusement is gone, replaced by a cold, appraising look. "Quite skilled," he says. Flick. He sends a coin spinning through the air like a bullet. "Try to dodge this too." Ting. The coin stops dead, caught neatly between 2 wooden chopsticks that Wamujin seems to have produced from thin air. Ma Jungbo's eyes widen. "This is not a lucky brawl. This is skill. You pathetic fools. Get lost," he snarls at his men. "I'll handle things here." He draws his sword. The leader isn't someone you can just blithely meet. While Mujin just sighs, I just want to talk to your leader, is that so hard? Clang. The impossible sound of wood blocking steel echoes through the room. Ma Jungbo has lunged, only to have his sword blade trapped between the chopsticks. I brought them as a replacement since I don't have a sword, but they're quite useful, Mujin explains casually. Ma Jungbo is in shock. This madman, this lunatic, he exploited that moment. He tries to pull back, but Mujin is already a blur. Ma Jungbo hacks wildly. You punk. Like a rat. But Mujin is no longer just dodging. He's counterattacking, darting in and out, jabbing with the chopsticks. If you underestimate chopsticks, you'll be shitting blood. He lands a vicious jab to the ribs. Kurg. Ma Jungbo stumbles back, his mind screaming in disbelief. Didn't they say that he couldn't use his internal energy anymore? How? Is this really Wang Mujin? Mujin stands tall, the full, crushing arrogance of the demonic god returning. I heard our family was in massive debt, he taunts, so I was curious. And yet you were boldly extorting us with such pathetic skill. That is the final straw. Humiliated and enraged, Ma Jungbo roars. Enough of your games. He gathers all his strength, a violent blue aura exploding around him. Twin ruinous force moonslaying heaven's secret technique. This is it, the ultimate move Masak heard about, the one that sliced a man's chest open. He lunges, pouring all his power into one final, devastating strike. And Wang Mujin simply steps aside. The attack hits nothing but air. Ma Jungbo freezes, his attack pose held, his eyes wide in disbelief. He dodged it. Before he can even turn, he feels a sharp, cold pressure at his throat. The chopsticks. Kahak. He is utterly defeated. What on earth is with this guy? He tries one last, weak gamble. You punk. How do you plan to handle the consequences? While Mujin leans in, his voice a cold, sharp whisper. I didn't come here to listen to threats, you know. He applies just enough pressure to make his point. Saying what I want to hear will help you live longer. He pulls back, his entire form now radiating a dark, menacing aura, the killing intent of the demonic god made visible. He looks down at the broken man and asks, with a terrifying, polite calm. So I'll say it again. I need to borrow some more money. Wang Mujin stands with a calm, almost playful smile, the tips of his chopsticks still resting on the defeated man's throat. It's been so long since I've had this much fun, he muses, a chillingly genuine amusement in his voice. Beside him, Masak is having a complete breakdown, his hands waving in terror as he wails. Young master, something like this is bad for your body. The loyal retainer is less concerned with a room full of beaten thugs and more worried that his master's frail constitution will collapse from the excitement. The syndicate's deputy leader, Ma Jungbo, can barely breathe, sweat beading on his forehead as he chokes out. Speak. What are you curious about? He is a man completely broken. Mujin's question is cold and analytical. What I mean is, why would you bastards who hate losing even a single coin support clan? Without any collateral, no less. He leans in, his eyes sharp. I'm thinking there was some kind of malicious intent. Ma Jungbo, his mind racing for an escape, tries a desperate lie. Why have you got it wrong, young master? What malicious intent? Mujin simply scoffs. Oh, I can hear the gears turning in your head from all the way over here. With his free hand, Wang Mujin calmly reaches over and plucks a handful of gambling dice from a nearby table. He holds one up, inspecting it. Think carefully, he advises, his voice light and conversational. After about 30 of these dice go down your throat, you won't be able to talk even if you want to. The threat, so absurd and yet so terrifyingly real, shatters the last of Ma Jungbo's resistance. He blurts out the truth. It was at the behest of the Changhua Merchant Guild. Mujin nods, completely unsurprised. Right. I had a feeling it was those rat bastards. He presses on. So what kind of deal did you make with them? Ma Jungbo hesitates again, a flicker of loyalty holding his tongue. Mujin sighs, a cold, weary logic entering his voice as he lectures the beaten man. Hey, you're not some enlightened Taoist or a warrior. He explains the brutal, practical truth. Be faithful to your subordinates. Even if your body is chopped to pieces and this place burns to the ground today. Those guys, he says, referring to the Changhua Guild, won't even bat an eye. That final, cold dose of reality breaks him for good. There was this contract. The entire sordid plan spills out. The Changhua Merchant Guild had instructed the Lone Syndicate to lend the Yoma clan as much money as they wanted, but at the highest possible interest rate. The goal was to make them struggle as if they'd fallen into the swamp of King Yama's debt. A financial pit so deep they could never climb out. Once the Yoma clan inevitably fell, the syndicate was promised the clan's land as their reward. Mujin processes this. Oh, so you were holding the clan's land as collateral after all? He does the quick, horrifying math. Then the 300 yang of gold I'm borrowing today. How much will it become in a year? The answer is staggering. Approximately 5,000 yang of gold. Mujin can only laugh. Hee, what a bunch of clowns. His mind then pivots. Where are they? Ma Jungbo, now eager to please, identifies them as the Minor Lawless faction, a new, recent addition to the For Heaven's Alliance, a union of Soppa sections. At the mention of that name, a flicker of the demonic god's old life surfaces. The For Heaven's Alliance. What a dirty bunch. Maysak, ever present and ever confused, asks, Young master, when did you ever meet them? Mujin waves him off. Never mind. It's a pain to explain. Just then, a thug struggles in with a heavy chest. Here is 300 yang of gold. Mujin inspects the gleaming contents. This should be enough. As they prepare to leave, Maysak, now burdened with a heavy chest of gold, whispers in disbelief, Are you really borrowing it? While Mujin, walking ahead, doesn't even look back. Just take it without a word. He stops at the door and turns to the ruined syndicate members, giving his final terms. Then, make sure to write it down properly in the ledger today. This isn't a robbery. It's a forced loan. As soon as my business with your big client, the Changhua Merchant Guild, is finished, he promises, I'll be back to pay off every single debt. Then his voice drops a final, sharp warning. And from the looks of it, you guys seem to be extorting a lot of money from the common folk, too. Knock it off. He lets the threat hang in the air. If you cross the line, you'll be seriously fucked. Ma Jungbo can only bow. We'll keep that in mind, though his eyes betray a simmering resentment. As Mujin leaves, the deputy leader thinks, let's see who gets screwed over first. Back at the Yoma estate, the elder Du Bakshin sees them approach and gasps. Young master. Blood. Hua Mujin, splattered with the evidence of his fight, just walks past him. It's not mine. He casually explains, I just went and borrowed some money, as if it were the most normal thing in the world, adding that the money will solve their living situation and ensure the clan's warriors are fed. The head steward, Du Bakshin, is left sputtering. Did you steal from somewhere? Mujin cuts him off. I told them to record it properly in their ledger before I left. He instructs the stunned elder to simply focus on feeding and clothing my younger siblings, and walks away, leaving the man to wonder, can such madness truly exist in this world? Later, Hua Mujin stands alone in the dim light of the ancestral hall, before the memorial tablets of the parents he has never known. His internal monologue is awkward, disconnected. Since I've never had parents, I'm not sure what I should say. He forgoes emotion for a simple, practical report. He tells them the financial issues are more or less solved, and he makes a vow. From now on, I'll take good care of my siblings and the members of this household. So don't worry and rest in peace. His tone then hardens as he gets to the true purpose of his prayer. He informs them of the upcoming duel with Chong Dabo for the clan's secret manual. He finishes with a cold, brutal promise. Don't you worry. I'll snap those bastards' necks. The newly acquired gold is put to immediate use. Sweating and grunting, the clan's few remaining warriors struggle to haul 3 massive, crudely made metal swords into the training yard. These are not elegant weapons. They are slabs of metal, labeled by their crushing weight. 50 gun, 80 gun, and 110 gun. Maysak, wiping his brow, asks, but what are you going to do with these? The warriors who brought them were struggling so much. While Mujin, standing before the swords, gives a simple, obvious answer. What else would you do with a sword? You swing it. He steps up to the lightest 50-gun one and grips the hilt. He pulls. Nothing happens. He grunts, his face turning red with strain as the full, humiliating reality of his new body hits him. I expected it, but to think I can't even lift the 50-gun one. He, the demonic god, stumbles and sways under the paltry 30 kilograms weight. This rotten body of mine. But the humiliation lasts only a second, replaced by iron will. I can't give up like this. He plants his feet, grips the hilt with 2 hands, his arms shaking violently. With a primal roar, he lifts it just inches off the ground, his entire body screaming in protest. 1. The first swing. He turns to his retainer. Stop staring and do what I told you. From now on, prepare my meals with meat side dishes. As he begins his grueling, impossible training, Wamujin's mind sharpens, focusing on the terrible predicament he is in. The time remaining until the duel is only half a month. He reviews the facts. His current body is a heavenly martial constitution, a body that is completely incompatible with the demonic arts his master had taught him. All the power he once wielded is useless, actively hostile to his new form. This leaves him with only one desperate option. That's why the last remaining option is the sword style passed down from my master's close friend. A new path, one he never walked in his previous life, is now his only hope. To learn the 9 swords of Dugu. That is now the only way for me to survive. Meanwhile, in their own chambers, the clan elders receive a message by carrier pigeon. Wamujin wiped out the lone syndicate. Du Baixin confirms the report. The syndicate is unable to move for about half a month. He muses that Wamujin, he doesn't even have a dantee on. How? Elder Joe's eyes gleam with sinister amusement. And now, for our great young Master Wa, I should prepare a little gift. Unaware of the vipers in his own home, Mujin has made his victory known, and the traitors are now plotting their next move, really looking forward to the duel where they expect him to reveal all of hidden facets. The air in the courtyard is still, the only sound the ragged, pained breathing of Wamujin. His body still wrapped in bandages from his earlier ordeal, aching with a strange, new vitality. So this is the heavenly martial body. He thinks, a grim satisfaction settling in. This new vessel, a body supposedly granted by the heavens, is a paradox. It violently rejected his demonic arts, yet it possesses a base resilience he is only just beginning to understand. It endured the agonizing formation of a dantian, a process that should have killed it. It should at least withstand this much, he reasons. He knows he cannot rely on his old powers. He must forge new ones, and fast. He rises to his feet, his gaze falling on the items laid out before him. 3 massive, crude swords and other training tools. Maysak had been efficient, preparing everything he had asked for. With the duel looming, there is not a second to waste. It begins now. He grips the hilt of the 50-gun sword, its 30-kilogram weight a leaden, humbling burden that makes his arms tremble. He lifts it, his muscles screaming, and settles into the first stance. His mind, the mind of the demonic god, recites the words his master had taught him, words he had once scorned. Solitary 9 swords. First form. Declaration form. He channels the philosophy, his voice low and steady, a promise to the air itself. I carry my sword and step forward at any time. Not even Mount Tide dares block my path. Clack. His feet settle into the dirt, the first step of a long, arduous journey. The second form is an explosion of pure pain. Form 2, breaking form. He forces his new, weak body to move, the heavy blade feeling less like a sword and more like an anchor. No matter what weapon comes at me, I will shatter them all. The philosophy is powerful, but his body is pathetically weak. Sweat pours from him, stinging his eyes and plastering the bandages to his skin. A blinding flash of red agony bursts behind his eyes as his muscles tear and his joints scream. Ugh, I'm already reaching my limits. From just this much, the demonic god, a being who once toppled armies with a flick of his wrist, is being utterly defeated by a single training form. But he is also a being of unbreakable, transcendent will. But I have to endure. He grinds his teeth, pushing through the agony. He forces the sword into the next dance, his back seizing in protest. Form 3. Sky-cleaving form. He imagines an opponent whose internal energy shakes the heavens, and he lifts the blade, picturing it splitting that very sky. The movement is a clumsy, agonizing failure. His back spasms. Ugh, my back! He stumbles, nearly collapsing to the ground, but roars into the empty air. Next! He will not be beaten by this. He forces his trembling limbs into the Form 4, void-cleaving form, reciting the principle, no martial art can stand before this edge, even as his own body is failing him. The practice blurs into a montage of failure and humiliation. He moves against imaginary foes, but his sword is slow, his movements clumsy. Ugh, I didn't land a single hit. This is infuriating. He, who had mastered the pinnacle of demonic arts, cannot even complete a simple sword drill. Oh, he shouts, pushing himself into the next. Form 5, Army Slaughtering Form. He tries to channel the idea that a horde of enemies would kneel before this sword, but the associated principle, an ant swarm can never surpass an elephant, grates on his very soul. It's simplistic, arrogant, and worst of all, cringy. This is such bullshit dash. He roars, his frustration boiling over. Next, he moves to the water trough. Form 6, 1/parts, still water. He tries to split a leaf floating on the water's surface, but the blade is heavy, his control non-existent. The leaf bobs, completely untouched. He screams in rage. Next is outside. He moves through the remaining forms in a daze of pain and fury. Form 7, 1-twin earths, where the sword opens the earth. Form 8, Heaven's Sundering Form, which boasts it can split the sky. And finally, he comes to the last, most absurd form. Form 9, Self-Cleaving Form. The principle is one of utter surrender and peace. At last, I have cut both myself and my sword. I have no more reason to wield a sword. Panting, the 30-kilogram sword feeling like a mountain. The entire set of movements feels alien, philosophical, and pathetically weak. So in the end, he concludes, it's just mimicry, huh? The memory hits him, as clear as if it were yesterday. His old master, a man of unfathomable power, teaching him this very form. Did you memorize it? The young Zhang Qion, his former self, had been openly disdainful, his arms crossed. I did memorize it, but does an unworthy sword style like that deserve to be called a sword art? He had mocked it relentlessly. Even the explanations are unbearably cringy. He'd spat the words with contempt. Cutting earth, sky, your sword, and even yourself? Sounds like something a kid made up trying to sound cool. His master, surprisingly, had only sighed. I won't deny that, but there was a sadness in his eyes. He was trying to preserve the legacy of a close friend, a legacy he himself couldn't carry on. Then came the detail that had floored the arrogant Zhang Qion. This friend was the only swordsman who could stand toe-to-toe with me. Zhang Qion was incredulous. With no inner power, the master explained the man used moving internal skill, a low-grade, trash-tier method that builds strength purely through physical movement. The master had gotten angry then, a rare flash of irritation. I said that's how it is, so shut up already. He'd laid out the brutal, simple path. If you swing this sword style 1,000 times, your body will begin to change. At 100,000 swings, you'll start to emit sword aura. At 1,000,000 swings, few will match you under heaven. Zhang Qion had done the math, scoffing. So, you'll finish mastering the sword technique in 3 years. He'd pressed his master. Was he really as strong as you? And the answer had been chilling in its finality. I can't say for sure, but if we fought to the end, one of us would definitely die. That had been a moment the trash-tier art had suddenly become. Interesting. A sharp smack across his face yanks him from the memory. Young master. Wait. Maysak is leaning over him, his face pale with panic. You weren't getting up, so I was worried. Wamujin, lying on the ground, his mind fuzzy, growls, hit me once more and I'll kill you. The reality of his situation crashes down on him. What the heck, I fainted after just one sword form. Not 1,000 swings. One form. Still a long road ahead, he groans. It's dark now. Maysak has brought a tray of food. Isn't this pork? Maysak stammers, but you asked me yesterday to prepare meat. Mujin cuts him off. Starting tomorrow, make it beef. Beef? Yeah, beef builds muscle better. He tells Maysak to use the loan syndicate's money and that he'll just borrow more later. His new regimen is set. Until I fight Chong Dabo, I'll be eating 3 meat meals a day. As they eat, Maysak can't hold his tongue. By the way, young master, when did you start learning that martial art? He lays out his confusion. I mean, a guy who couldn't even function like a normal person suddenly mastering sword techniques. Of course it's weird. He recaps the absurdity, beating syndicate guards with chopsticks, and now this crazy sword style. Mujin, tired of the pretense, decides to tell him. Truth is, I'm not really the eldest son, Wamujin. He takes a breath. My real identity is the divine demon dash. If you're gonna spout nonsense again, I'm leaving. Maysak isn't afraid of demons. He's afraid of the madness. He confesses his true fear. I only worry about one thing. That someday, like before, I'll lose my memory again and change into someone else, and then disappear without a word. You're not thinking of abandoning the Yoma clan, are you? Maysak's words hang in the night air, raw and desperate. Mujin looks at his retainer, the first person in this new life to show him unwavering, if terrified, loyalty. He gives him a solid, unwavering answer. I would never abandon the clan. He feels a new purpose solidify, a purpose for this borrowed life, a way to repay the body he now inhabits. Not until Yoma becomes the strongest martial family in Sichuan. Maysak's jaw drops. Strongest? In Sichuan? The idea is so far beyond their reality of debt and decay that he can only sputter. That's ridiculous. If you're done yapping, then get out, Mujin says, dismissing him. Maysak leaves, still reeling. Alone in the room, Wang Mujin, the demonic god, looks into the darkness. He speaks to the lingering spirit of the boy whose body he now controls. Strongest in Sichuan. That should be enough for you too, right? Wang Mujin is a vow made to the dead. But as he makes this vow, in another, more opulent room in the same estate, Elder Zhou Huanbong and head steward Du Baixian are deep in conspiracy. In 10 days, it'll be the duel, Du Baixian says, his voice low. Elder Zhou's eyes are cold. Chong Dabo, that guy will definitely try to end young master's life. Their true concern is revealed, and after that, he'll come for the Yom Emperor's inheritance. They are not worried for Mujin. They are worried for the treasure he is unknowingly protecting. We can't let the last two remaining be harmed as well, Elder said. A solitary figure, Wang Mujin, stands amidst the downpour, his body wrapped in bandages, his chest heaving with exhaustion. His panted breaths, agonizing effort of his training. He swings a massive iron sword, the whoosh of the blade cutting through the heavy, rain-filled air. His mind is a fortress of frustration. Days of this back-breaking labor have yielded results. His arms are now visibly muscled, and he has finally reached the point where he can swing the crushing 110-gun iron sword with just one hand. But it is not enough. But why is my sword technique still unstable? He growls internally, the pressure mounting. There's only a week left until the martial arts competition. His dark thoughts are interrupted by two small voices. Brother Mujin, you're still training hard. His younger siblings, Wat Dojin and Wa Soyan, are watching him from the doorway. He barks at them. What brings you kids here? It's dangerous, so go play somewhere else. But Soyan steps forward, her voice small but determined. I was worried. She confesses that she has been watching him for a few days, afraid that he might be overdoing it. Then, her face crumples with guilt as she asks, "Are you doing this because of what I said harshly before?" The memory of her scream, "It's all because of you, brother, that our parents died," hangs in the air between them. At that time, I was so angry, she whispers, admitting her grief had overwhelmed her. This sudden, raw apology from the little girl pierces the armor of the demonic god. He can only look at her, stunned into a rare, gentle surprise. Well, I'll be. The heavy tension in the rainy courtyard breaks. Wang Mujin, his mind still reeling from the girl's confession, looks at the two children and is reminded of them, the ghosts of his own lost past, the siblings he once fought for. He softens, his voice losing its harsh edge as he reassures Soyan, "It's fine, don't worry about it." The moment he's forgiven her, Dojin's childish enthusiasm explodes. "By the way, Brother Mujin, your stance is really amazing." The boy puffs out his chest and strikes a wobbly pose. "This is how you do it, right?" Soyan immediately jumps in to correct him. "No, that's not it." Brother stretched his arm a bit more. While Mujin watches them bicker, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. Is he imitating me? The kid's cute. But their simple act of mimicry triggers a sudden, violent jolt of memory. Seeing these kids reminds me of when I trained with my master. It's not a gentle memory. It's a shout from his past, his master's voice roaring in his mind. Wang Mujin, when swinging the sword, exhale, as long as possible. Then hold, absolutely don't rush. Finally, when returning to position, inhale, slowly and shortly. The realization hits him like a physical blow. And then, right, he had been doing it all wrong. He had focused on the muscle, the brute force, and had forgotten the most crucial element. The most important thing in the solitary 9 swords is the breathing method of the pupil. He had completely forgotten my master's words. This new, rediscovered knowledge fills him with a cold, unshakable confidence. He turns to the children, his voice now imbued with a power they have never heard. Don't worry about anything. I will definitely win. He sends them back to their room, and they go, their childish fears finally eased by his new, absolute certainty. The moment the children are gone, the real training begins. While Mujin stands alone in the downpour, but he is no longer just a man flailing against a heavy sword. He is a master about to reclaim his art. He centers himself, his mind crystal clear, reciting his master's forgotten words. When swinging the sword, exhale, as long as possible. He does a long, controlled hyena sound, and then holds, feeling the pressure build without rushing at all. Then, when returning to position, inhale, slowly and shortly. He draws the breath in, and a new kind of power floods his system. As he swings, he consciously pours out all the internal energy gathered in his body at once. A single bead of sweat rolls down his face, no longer from pain, but from pure, focused effort. Success. This was the key. The pupil Qigong is a strange art, one that builds internal energy by directly moving the body, a stark contrast to the common meditation-based methods. Because it's difficult to develop energy channels this way, the world had dismissed it as a lower-class martial art. But what the world didn't know, and what Wang Mujin had forgotten, was that the one true key in awakening such pupil was a stable breathing method. With this new, rediscovered rhythm, his training transforms. The swinging that was so difficult before now finds a flow. His body gradually stabilizes, the breath and the blade moving as one. He repeats the sword technique dozens of times, and a miracle begins to happen deep within his crippled body. The dantian that had been scattered for years slowly began to condense. While Wang Mujin is forging a new dantian in the rain, in a private room, the elder Zhou Huanbong asks the head steward, "Is young Master Hua still doing that?" Du Beixin, his face a mask of worried confusion, confirms it. Yes, he has become a completely different person now. He reports that, at first, he kept collapsing, but now he doesn't even show signs of it. Completely blind to the truth, grasp for an explanation. Elder Zhou wrongly assumes that a divine energy treatment he received from the Mudang before seems to have been effective. Du Beixin, ever the skeptic, points out, it shouldn't improve in just one session, right? Elder Zhou clicks his tongue, his mind already turning on this new, inconvenient development. But the progress they're so badly miscalculating is far beyond their imagination. When Meisak arrives at Wang Mujin's quarters with a tray of beef, he stops, his blood running cold. What is this? The room has been destroyed from the inside out. The walls are shattered, the support beams cracked. Wang Mujin stands in the wreckage, his voice calm. It's narrow. He has quite literally outgrown his shell. It's too narrow to continue training here. I should use the training ground from now on. Wang Mujin, still wrapped in the bandages that make him look like a half-dead corpse, walks directly to the main training ground, where the clan's few remaining warriors are practicing. There are guests, he thinks. Meisak, trembling, delivers the message. Sir warriors. Young master says he will use the large training ground. The warriors stop, their faces twisting in open, sneering contempt. What is this half-dead corpse saying? They mock him openly. Just swinging a sword doesn't make anyone a martial artist. Wang Mujin, his eyes cold, takes in their quite challenging expressions. The tense standoff is broken by a loud, authoritative voice. Everyone, step back. Keelboyne, the commander of the YOMHWA clan's death squad, has arrived. He orders his men to comply, but his internal thoughts reveal his true colors. Seems the madness has erupted again. But one warrior, emboldened by the commander's presence, mutters just loud enough for all to hear. Hey, dull talent, why don't you stop? This is the opening Wang Mujin has been waiting for. He pins the man with his gaze. If you have complaints, say it to my face. Bottling it up is something only cowards do. The warrior, now the center of attention, stammers. So what are you suggesting? Wamujin's voice is low and dangerous. Among people who eat by the sword, if there are complaints, what can we do? He lets the question hang in the air, then provides the only possible answer. We have to fight it out. Commander Keelboyne steps forward, but not to defend his master. He speaks to Wamujin, his words a veiled warning. Young Master Wa, no matter how much the world is tilted, there is no warrior who draws a sword against the person who will become the clan head. It's a blatant power play, protecting his mutinous men under the guise of respecting the chain of command. Wamujin, who has seen through the posturing of emperors and gods, is unimpressed. He scoffs at the commander's hollow words. There's a saying, a dog that bites doesn't bark, and a barking dog is full of fear. He levels his gaze at the entire assembly of warriors, his voice cutting through their arrogance. If you're not going to step forward, don't bark from the start. Live like a scared dog with its tail between its legs. The insult is sharp, public, and undeniable. He then locks eyes with Keelboyne, the man who dared to challenge him, and issues his final, quiet threat. Regret won't do you any good. The commander, his honor and authority now shredded in front of his men, can only hiss back, his face a mask of rage. Well, I'm not the type to regret. The challenge has been issued, and a fight is now inevitable. The challenge hangs in the thick, humid air of the training ground. Wamujin's final, insulting words, regret won't do you any good, are met with a low, furious growl from Commander Keelboyne. The seasoned warrior, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword, hisses, well, I'm not the type to feel regret. This is it. The line has been crossed. Keelboyne lunges, his sword a blur of steel, expecting to cut down the mad heir in a single disciplinary strike. But Wamujin, the man who they all believe to be a half-dead corpse, is not there. He stands completely unarmed, yet he flows like water, his moves so strange and fluid that the commander's blade meets only empty air. The surrounding warriors can only stare, their minds unable to comprehend what they are seeing. Keelboyne, his pride stinging, becomes enraged. This isn't a fight, it's a mockery. Stop dodging, he roars, and face these attacks with your sword. The commander's fury isn't just about this single moment. It is the explosion of 25 years of service to a clan that ended up like this. All, in his eyes, because of you, young master, and now, this same lunatic, this madman who destroyed everything, dares to stand here and preaching about martial arts. His patience shattered, Keelboyne pours all of his frustration and internal energy into one devastating, overhead chop, screaming, know your place. This time, Wamujin does not dodge. He stands his ground. In a flash, he picks up the heavy training sword he had been using. As the commander's blade descends, Wamujin's voice cuts through the air, cold, clear, and utterly sane, as he names the technique that will end this. Solitary 9 swords. Second form, breaking form. The clang of the impact is deafening, a brilliant flash of blue-white energy exploding from the point of contact. Keelboyne is blown backward, his entire arm numb, his sword vibrating violently. He stares in pure, unadulterated shock. What? Even my internal energy is shaken by this technique. Wamujin stands perfectly still, the massive iron sword now resting casually on his shoulder. He looks at the man he has just dominated and speaks, his voice carrying over the stunned silence. Everything you said was true, he concedes, his voice devoid of all madness. But, from now on, things will be different. Keelboyne can only stare, his mind reeling. How? Is this possible? He sees it now. His once clouded gaze is completely different. These are not the eyes of a lunatic. They are the eyes of a true warrior, burning with resolve. The other warriors are frozen, the impossible reality dawning on them. Young Master Wa actually won. The stunned silence of the training ground is shattered by the cries of the 2 young siblings, who run to their brother's side. Brother, are you all right? Wamujin, his gaze still locked on the defeated commander and his mutinous men, ignores the children. He raises his voice, his new authority sealing itself over the clan. Now, nobody has any complaints, right? A single, cowardly warrior in the back mutters, what a coward. Trying to salvage the situation by accusing Mujin of a cheap trick, implying Keelboyne couldn't face you with his true strength. But Keelboyne, though defeated, is still a commander. Silence, he roars at his own man. He staggers to his feet, not with anger, but with a new, profound respect. He bows his head to Wamujin. I concede defeat. I've learned from this. Wamujin accepts the surrender with a simple, cold nod. Good. Now step down. His authority now undeniable. Keelboyne turns to his men and bellows. Everyone, stop interfering and move to the training ground next door. As the warriors file out, their heads bowed, one whispers to Maysock, even if he's the young master, isn't this going too far? Maysock, equally stunned, they conclude that their mad young master has gained a heavenly opportunity, a miracle. That night, in a dark, private chamber, Dubakshin and Elder Joe speak in hushed, urgent tones. The duel with the Changhua Merchant Guild is tomorrow. They reminisce about the clan's founder, the great Lord Yonge, a man who was truly unmatched, who appeared alone and forced even the haughty Tang clan to acknowledge his martial prowess. They recall how they both swear to devote our lives to his radiance. Elder Joe, however, twists this memory into a justification for their treason. This isn't betraying him. He argues that by abandoning Wamujin to his fate and fleeing with the two younger children, they are carry on his bloodline and martial legacy. Dubakshin quickly agrees, painting their 17 years of tending two young Master Wa's madness and protecting the Yomwa clan as it withered as a long, painful service. They convince themselves that even Lord Yonge in the afterlife wouldn't blame us. The plan is confirmed. Elder Joe will leave with a handful of warriors and a little silver to secure a new place to settle. Dubakshin, in a final act of twisted loyalty, insists on staying. Someone must be there to tend to the body. He plans to be there to retrieve Wamujin's corpse after the duel. But Elder Joe reveals a new, chilling detail. The Chong Hwa Merchant Guild is sending their own master to serve as witness. They intend to make it official, to legitimize their theft of the Yomwa clan's secrets in broad daylight. Dubakshin is to take the two young ones and flee to the agreed spot, leaving Wamujin completely and utterly alone. While this conspiracy unfolds, Wamujin and Maysock share their last meal. Maysock complains that the meat feels tougher, and Mujin correctly deduces it's because they're being given the cheaper cuts, a subtle, final sign of the steward's betrayal as he pinches the clan's funds. Wamujin, now free of his bandages, asks his attendant's opinion on his new, clean look. Honestly, Maysock admits, you looked better with the bandages on. His words are prophetic. Let's go, Mujin says, standing. Terrified, asks, you're really going? Wamujin pins him with a look. You didn't come here to spout the same nonsense about running away too, did you? Elder, his loyalty finally winning over his fear, stands firm. Of course not. Mujin nods, satisfied. Then wait here. I'll be back after beating those thieves to a pulp. But Elder takes a step forward, his decision made. I'm coming with you. Wamujin can only sigh at the Elder's stubbornness. Geez, this old man worries too much. And so they walk out. Wamujin, his sword once again wrapped in bandages, leads the way. Behind him is Maysock, and beside Maysock is head steward Dubakshin, his face a perfect picture of a loyal servant accompanying his master to a fateful duel. Let's go, Wamujin shouts, and the three of them, the warrior, the loyal attendant, and Elder walk out of the gates. The flying shadow pavilion is a sea of noise, the air buzzing with the restless energy of 100 murmured conversations. In the center of the vast courtyard, a bookie, his ledger open and his voice booming, shouts over the din, a martial duel between the Changhua Merchant Company and the Yomwa family. If you want to bet, hurry up and place your wagers. Hey, what are the odds? A man calls out. The bookie scans his notes. Let's see. At best, you'll get about half the payout. The odds are laughably bad, a clear sign of a one-sided fight. But one gambler, a martial artist himself, sees a different angle. If it's a martial artist, it might be better to bet on the Yom family than on the merchant company. His logic is just tempting enough. Another man, caught in a thrill, slaps his money down. Then I'll bet 2 silver coins on Yomwa's young master. At that precise moment, a gasp ripples through the crowd as a figure appears at the entrance. Oh, it's Yomwa family's young master Wagong. The ripple of excitement instantly curdles into a wave of stunned, horrified silence. The gambler who just made his bet lunges back towards the bookie, his face a mask of pale, immediate regret. Can I cancel the 2 silver coins bet on Yomwa family? The crowd stares, their low expectations somehow completely shattered. While Mujin, the man they came to see, is a pathetic sight. He isn't walking. He's shuffling, his robes in disarray. He leans on his retainer, Maysak, with a casual air, completely oblivious to the shock his appearance has caused. See, I told you I wouldn't be late, didn't I? Maysak, his eyes darting frantically from the composed opponent to the jeering crowd, can only hiss back. Still, eating that much before a duel is a bit. Across the platform, Bu Choyan, the master of the Changhua Merchant Guild, the picture of aristocratic perfection, watches this disastrous entrance. A cold, condescending smile touches her lips. Long time NOC. She calls out, her voice dripping with false courtesy. Bu Choyan immediately seizes the stage, turning to the crowd with a masterful performance of feigned reluctance. For the sake of our blood ties, I'll ask once more, she projects, her voice full of sorrow. Do we really have to do this duel? The crowd, already on her side, erupts in whispers. What? You're saying Yomwa family apply for the duel first? Dabo nods grimly, doing something reckless without the skill for it. If the madness is that severe, then the rumors were true. On the sidelines, Maysak's hands clench in helpless rage. Good grief, it's like they're saying we started this match. But before the lie can take root, Wamujin's voice, sharp, clear, and perfectly sane, cuts through the pavilion. We can't let Changhua Merchant Company take away the Yoma family's secret art, he announces, his words perfectly timed. So we have no option but to fight like this, do we? In an instant, the narrative is shattered. The crowd pivots, a new, more scandalous murmur sweeping the stands. What? You say you coveted the Yom family's secret art? Of all houses, Changhua Merchant Company. Bu Choyan's practiced smile tightens, his eyes flashing with genuine, cold anger. The madman has outplayed him. I wonder how long that composure of yours will last. She thinks, his mask of composure cracking. Everyone, attention. A new figure, Hanak Gang of the Gongdong clan, steps forward. He is the official witness. He introduces the next head of the Changhua Merchant Company, Chong Dubo, and Yomwa family's young master, Wamujin. He instructs them both to fight with fair and square honor. But just as the duel is set to begin, a smug voice calls out from the crowd. It was Chong Dabo. It seems you have received the items we sent. Wamujin, who had simply put on the robes Maysak had laid out, is confused. What are you talking about? Dubo beams, his voice full of false pride for all to hear. That outfit you're wearing right now is the Yomwa family Yom's battle uniform. He announces that he personally sent it to commemorate Wamujin's glorious return. Wamujin, understanding the dark, unspoken irony, simply replies, Ah, is that so? Wamujin adds one final, quiet taunt, aimed at Dubo. When this duel ends, you'll have to return the rest of the valuables as well. As Wamujin draws his massive, crude iron sword, the crowd murmurs again, confused. The owner of the Yomwa family is a sword master. Can someone wield swordsmanship with such a large blade? And isn't Yomj supposed to focus on bare-handed techniques? Du Baixin sidles up to Maysak, his voice a low, probing hiss. Maysak, did the young master have no special remark? He is fishing, desperate to know if his plan has been discovered. Maysak, completely unaware, just shakes his head. Well, when I suggested we run away this morning, he flew into a rage. Du Baixin is stunned. You also said to run away. Maysak, whose faith has been forged in the fire of his master's new power, quickly backpedals. I was only joking when I said that. I actually believe the young master will win without a doubt. Du Baixin can only stare, his mind reeling, truly wondering if can madness be contagious. Their hushed, frantic conversation is cut short by the witness's final, arena-shaking shout. Are both sides ready? If you are ready, we will begin the duel. The word duel is still echoing when Chong Dabo vanishes. He explodes from his spot in a streak of blue internal energy, his blade aimed in a perfect, lethal strike at Wamujin's throat. He expects to cut down a madman, to end this farce in a single, anticlimactic second. The crowd gasps so fast. Instead of the sound of flesh, a deafening, high-pitched clang rings through the pavilion, a sound so loud it hurts. Wamujin, his massive iron sword held steady, has blocked the attack. Chong Dabo is thrown back, his smug confidence vaporized, replaced by a mask of pure, unadulterated shock. The crowd is even more bewildered. Wasn't Wa the young master supposed to be severely mad? I heard he hadn't learned martial arts either. Where on earth does that power come from? Dabo, however, lands gracefully. He felt the impact. It was raw, brute strength, not the refined skill of a master. His shock instantly cools into a sneer of contempt. This was not skill. This was a lucky block. Still, it's the skill of a one-day pup. Done toying with his opponent, Chong Dabo unleashes his true, terrifying skill. He becomes a blur of motion, a relentless storm of perfect, fluid swordplay. Wamujin is immediately, hopelessly overwhelmed. He is thrown onto the defensive, his massive, sort of clumsy, heavy shield the clang, clang, clang of his desperate blocks echoing frantically across the platform. He is pushed back and back and back again, his raw strength no match for Dabo's years of refined technique. The witness, Buchoyan, watches with the dispassionate eye of a true master. This is surprising. She thinks, impressed that Wamujin could endure this well. But she sees the inevitable conclusion. Mujin's negligible power is nothing compared to the martial arts that Dabo has built up until now. After a furious exchange, Dabo smashes through Mujin's guard, lands a powerful kick, and sends him skidding to a halt at the very edge of the platform. The fight pauses. Chong Dabo stalks forward, his victory assured, savoring the moment he has craved for 17 years. He points his sword at Mujin's face, his voice a low, sadistic whisper. Wamujin, this time I'll leave you crippled. He leans in, his eyes full of cruel joy. Crushing someone's will is the thing I do best. On the sidelines, Maysak is having a complete breakdown, babbling to a stoic Dubakshin. I don't know the details, but perhaps the young master is not going all out right now. He frantically insists. I've secretly watched the young master training alone up to now. Something truly massive and even more powerful might show up. Wamujin, however, is not planning a secret attack. He is simply catching his breath, his face slick with sweat, his mind a cold, clear calculator. The flurry of blows was a test. And now, he has his answer. From what I can roughly tell, my level is about even with his. It is a deeply frustrating, disappointing, and humbling truth. Was that too much to expect in such a short time? He wonders, the limitations of his new body grating on his ancient, all-powerful soul. He looks up at the gloating Dabo, and all his frustration evaporates, replaced by a simple, terrifying calm. Well, it doesn't matter. This is not a duel of skill. It never was. A lifetime of experience, the experience of the demonic god, floods his mind, settling into his very bones. Regardless of whether the opponent was stronger than me in the past, I've finished them all. Chong Dabo is a skilled martial artist, but Wamujin is a killer. The test is over. The time for parrying is done. His mind narrows to a single, cold, and absolute purpose. So with this one, I will definitely kill him. Far from the roar of the crowd, in the dead of night, another, more cowardly plot is unfolding. Elder Zhou Huanbong, his face a mask of anxious determination, navigates a dark, unfamiliar forest, the two small, sleeping children of the Yomwa clan bundled in his arms. He follows the map given to him by Du Baixin, head east for 5 kilometers, turning at a hawthorn tree. Then 3 kilometers, his footsteps padded by the soft earth. He finally arrives at a shabby hut, a predetermined safe house, breathing a sigh of relief that the children's slumber made the abduction easy. In this quiet, conspiratorial moment, he recalls his last exchange with the chief steward, Du Baixin, who had refused to flee with them. Du Baixin, driven by a final, twisted strand of loyalty, had declared his intention to stay, stating that Wamujin was still that person's blood relative, and that someone must at least gather his remains. He would personally oversee the last journey of the young Master Wa, a vulture staying to watch his victim fall. Elder Zhou, accepting this grim decision, had parted ways. Let's meet at the promised location, his heart heavy with a secret, lingering doubt. I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do. Back at the dueling platform, the witness, Hana Gang, watches the fight with a professional, appraising eye. He knows Chong Dabo's reputation and skill, noting that he is not bad for his age. The fight rages on, but the narrative that everyone, the crowd, the bookies had bought into is rapidly falling apart. Hana Gang, the expert witness, furrows his brow, his mind unable to process what he is seeing. So why is it that the two of them are evenly matched? He wonders, his confusion deepening as he realizes that, impossibly, young manhwa even seems to have the upper hand. The crowd, too, begins to murmur in disbelief. This Chong Dabo was supposed to be a prized outer sect disciple of the Kongdong sect. Yet he's not all that impressive after all. While Mujin, his body aching but his mind razor-sharp, confirms their assessment with a cold, internal scoff. Dabo is still just at the level of a greenhorn. Enraged by this humiliation, Dabo finally unleashes his full power, conjuring a massive, swirling vortex of blue internal energy. Maysak, seeing the killing intent, screams in pure, unadulterated terror. "Ah, young manhwa, please dodge." But while Mujin does not dodge, he stands firm, his heavy iron sword held steady, his voice a calm, cold declaration that cuts through the roar of Dabo's attack. Peerless nine swords. First form, preemptive step. With a metallic shriek that deafens the crowd, the madman blocks the unblockable attack. Dabo is thrown back, his face a mask of stunned disbelief. Cook. The tide has not just turned, it has become a tidal wave. The crowd buzzes, seeing Chong Dabo, now desperate, gathering all of his inner energy. They lean in, sensing this must be his final strike. But while Mujin, the demonic god, is merely bored, he scoffs at the display, his voice dripping with the contempt of a true master. Too slow, he mocks his opponent's strained effort. Even your gathering of inner energy is slow. As Dabo prepares to launch his ultimate attack, while Mujin is already in motion, announcing his own superior technique, peerless nine swords. Second form, Mujin's sword energy erupts, a devastating counterattack that slams into Dabo before he can even release his own. Dabo's world shatters. I'm this helpless against his attacks? His mind screams, his confidence and his technique crumbling at the same instant. The full, crushing force of the weapon destruction form hits him, and his last, horrified thought is one of pure, impossible denial. What the? I'm losing to this energy, core-less bastard. Far away, his mother, Biu Choyan, feels the shift, her mind screaming his name, Dabo, as her son is engulfed in the blinding light of his own defeat. The blinding light fades, leaving a stunned, deathly silence over the pavilion. While Mujin stands tall, his breathing steady, his opponent a broken heap on the platform. A single, severed arm lies on the stone, steaming in the cool air. The crowd can barely process the sight. Young manhwa. What? Mujin walks slowly toward the fallen Chong Dabo, his footsteps the only sound in the arena. He nudges the severed arm with his foot, his voice cold and flat, a judgment 17 years in the making. I'll take this arm as payment for the 17 years of grudge. He twists the knife, adding a venomous taunt. Well, since it's the Changhua Merchant Guild, perhaps they'll find a way to reattach your arm. The witness, Hana Gang, finally steps forward, his face grim. He inspects the fallen Dabo and makes another shocking discovery. His energy core is shattered as well. He turns to Mujin, his voice heavy with disapproval. Did you really have to go this far? Arguing that the match was already over long ago. While Mujin turns, his eyes flashing with the fire of the demonic god. Oh really, he scoffs. If that's how we're talking, then I have plenty to say too. He unleashes his verbal fury on the witness and the entire guild, his voice roaring across the courtyard. Was it really necessary to use the 7 wounds fist strike on the head of a 5-year-old child who knew no martial arts? He stands as the very picture of righteous vengeance, declaring this merely the closure of a grudge from 17 years ago. He points his bloody sword at the horrified guild members, his final words a declaration of war. From now on, you will have to pay the price for having provoked the Flamehua clan. Prepare yourself well. As he walks away, Biu Choyan cradles her mutilated son, her face a mask of pure hatred, her voice a low promise of blood. Wamujin. I will never forget this matter. The stunned silence of the crowd erupts into a roar. They are no longer watching a madman. They are witnessing history. To think he crushed an outer sect disciple of the Kongdong sect in just a few moves, one man shouts. And that was a sword art we've never seen before, yells another. The verdict is unanimous. A new martial master is born. Maysak and Elder, their faces a mixture of shock and dawning pride, rush to their master's side. Young Master Wamujin, his vengeance enacted, simply sheathes his sword. Let's head back. As they walk, Elder stares at the broad, confident shoulders of the man in front of him, a man he has tended to as a fragile invalid. And a new, profound thought strikes him. Was young Master back always this broad? As they exit the clan gates, Wamujin spots the remaining matter. Chief Steward Du. He fixes the man with a knowing gaze. About that, Du Bakshin freezes, a cold sweat breaking out on his brow, his mind screaming in pure, unadulterated panic. Did he perhaps already notice we were planning to run away? Mujin lets the man squirm for a second before continuing, a slight, cruel smile playing on his lips. Ahem, the gold I entrusted to you. Have you already spent it all? Du Bakshin forces a shaky, high-pitched laugh. Haha, of course not. There's a little left. Mujin nods, his eyes glinting. Ah, one more thing, he says, his voice casual. About Elder Joe and the other warriors. I don't particularly care if they choose to leave the clan. Du Bakshin's heart leaps, he's safe. But then Mujin's voice drops, becoming as cold and sharp as the blade that took Dabo's arm. But if they ever try to split me apart from my two younger siblings, they will have to wager their lives. It is not a suggestion. It is a death sentence delivered with a smile. Miles away, in the shabby hut, Elder Joe's escape plan has hit a snag. The children are awake, and Hua Soyan, no longer a sleeping bundle, is confronting the traitor with all the fury of a betrayed child. Today is brother's duel day. How could you do this? She shouts, accusing him. This time, I cannot forgive you. As Elder Joe desperately tries to calm her, a messenger pigeon clatters against the window. He fumbles with the note, his hands shaking. He reads it. His face drains of all color. The message is a catastrophe. Duel won by young master. Escape plan discovered. Return immediately. The old man's composure shatters, replaced by pure, high-pitched terror. Oh dear, we're screwed. He grabs the bewildered children, his voice cracking. Let's go quickly. Go, go. The elder's plot has failed, and now he is just a mouse, running back to the lion's den. As Wamujin walks from the dueling platform, his victory secured, his mind is already on the next, pressing matter, money. He turns to his chief steward, Du Bakshin, his voice casual, as if discussing the weather. It's time to settle with a debt feast. He is, of course, referring to those bastards from the Lone Syndicate. Du Bakshin, who is still struggling to process the day's events, is thrown into a fresh panic. He has confirmed that Wamujin has changed, but this new, proactive master is far more terrifying than the mad, pliable boy he once knew. He warns his master about the Syndicate's backers, the infamous slaughtering Star Sect. Wamujin, who has just dismantled a master swordsman in public, is completely unimpressed by the old man and his constant, fretful worrying. I got already, he snaps, dismissing the steward. He then turns to Maysak, his voice softening with true command. Maysak, you stay close behind your brother from now on. Wamujin arrives at the Lone Syndicate headquarters, the den of the men who had plotted his family's ruin. The deputy leader, Ma Jungbo, gapes at him, his face ashen. The news has traveled fast. This is no longer the mad heir. This is the man who turned that vicious Changhua Merchant Guild's second son into a cripple. Mujin, his expression perfectly calm, strolls into the eerily quiet establishment and announces his purpose. I've come to pay back my debt. Ma Jungbo explains that the usual crowd of gamblers all went to watch young master martial arts sparring. A cold, calculating light enters Mujin's eyes. Ah, so everyone came to see. He knows exactly what this means. You lot bet on my sparring, didn't you? He leans in, the smile of a predator playing on his lips. There's no doubt the odds were higher on my side, and you must have made quite a bit. He lets the implication hang in the air. You must have earned a fortune thanks to me. You're not thinking of keeping quiet about it, are you? Ma Jungbo's blood runs cold, his internal voice screaming. Damn, He's here to bleed us dry again. But he knows this is no longer a negotiation. This time, he can feel the killing intent of a true master. When Mujin's question, "So, where's your boss?" is met with hesitation, he doesn't wait, striding toward the back rooms. "If you don't talk, I'll have to see for myself." From the shadows, two new figures emerge. The syndicate's octopus head, Master Chai Unjil, and a thuggish, dangerous-looking man radiating pure violence. The thuggish man, Dong Sao Hukjo of the Slaughtering Star sect, immediately tries to establish dominance. He glares at the trembling Maysok. The kid's got no manners. His voice a low growl. "How dare you?" But while adults are speaking. "Do you want to die?" Maysok's face drains of all color, his mind screaming in terror at the name Slaughtering Star sect. But Wang Mujin, who has faced gods, simply steps in front of his retainer. His voice is flat, bored, and utterly unimpressed. "Slaughtering Star sect or not, anyone who blocks my path." Before Hukjo can even finish processing the insult, Mujin moves. A wooden chopstick appears in his hand. First, one hole, a sharp thwack and a spray of blood. The chopstick is now embedded deep in the back of Hukjo's hand. The thug, more stunned by the audacity than the pain, actually lets out a dark chuckle. "To pierce my hand with chopsticks," he says, a cruel, amused smile spreading on his face. What an amusing little rascal. Mujin doesn't share the joke. "You're the last person I want to hear from." Enraged by the disrespect, Hukjo lunges. "Don't get cocky." The powerful, killing blow hits nothing but empty air. Whoosh. Wang Mujin has vanished, reappearing behind the thug, his movements so fast and fluid that Hukjo can only gasp, "This brat. He dodged my attack so easily." Before the thug can even turn, Mujin, with a bored sigh, strikes again. "Let's put one more hole in you." Another sharp thwack. A second chopstick sinks deep into Hukjo's right eye. Mujin leans in, his voice a cold, curious whisper. "How's that? Does the wind pass through nicely?" The thug's amusement is long gone, replaced by a mask of pained, furious disbelief. "Why, you bastard! You touched me. Now the Slaughtering Star sect brothers will move against you." Wang Mujin practically yawns. "Oh, yeah? Then your lackeys won't be safe either. Tell them to come if they dare." He raises a third chopstick, his arm moving with chilling, deliberate slowness, aiming directly for the man's eye. "But before that, you're going to die right here." The thug's bravado shatters into a million pieces. The killer of the Slaughtering Star sect is reduced to a pathetic, blubbering child. "Wait," he screams. "I'll give you anything. My wealth, my concubine, just spare my life." Mujin pauses, the chopstick hovering. "I've no interest in your concubine," he says, "but that part about wealth does stir me a little. I'll return. I swear it." Hukjo screams, scrambling out of the room to fetch his wealth after Mujin promises that if he doesn't, he'll be breathing through your eye sockets from now on. As the thuggish enforcer flees, Wang Mujin turns to the real boss, Chai Unjil, who is trembling in the corner. Mujin's face is a cold, placid mask. "Now then, shall we continue settling debts?" The octopus head, having seen his protector utterly broken, collapses, begging for his life. "Spare me. I'll give you all my wealth." Mujin scoffs. "What are you saying? Your wealth's already mine." He begins to list the charges. 7,000 niang. Stolen from the commoners, plus an unspecified price. For scheming against the Yomwa clan. He declares that their entire fortune is the only acceptable payment. The deputy leader, Ma Jungbo, crawls forward, his face a mask of desperate tears. "Just please spare me. I'll live righteously from now on. Please give me another chance." Wang Mujin looks down at the groveling man for a long moment. "Fine then, you can live." He then uses the terrified, newly promoted deputy to do the final accounting. The dead boss's assets, for 1,000 niang. The syndicate's total assets, 10,000 niang. The 500 niang tribute mint for the Slaughtering Star sect? That's his now too. Finally, he adds a compensation for the mental distress, bringing the grand total to a neat 20,000 niang. "Good," he says. "Let's handle the paperwork and the gold here on the spot." As Ma Jungbo scrambles to obey, Mujin turns to the remaining, trembling thugs. "All right, now then, shall we negotiate the prize for the rest of your lives?" They look at Ma Jungbo in hope, but Mujin's smile is ice. "I said I'd spare that one, but I never said I'd spare the rest of you." Du Baixin stands at the clan entrance, his entire world tilted on its axis. He watches in stunned horror as chest after chest of gold is carried into the estate, while Mujin strolls past him, his robes still immaculate, and answers the unasked question with a casual, "I finished the debt feast." The steward, his last thread of composure snapping. He frantically reminds Mujin of the Slaughtering Star sect, of their powerful allies, Hong Jo-hong, and Ju Sugong of the Crimson Sword sect. He is trying to make his master, his mad master, understand the doom he has brought upon them. He describes the man Mujin has just provoked. Dong Salhukjo. Is he the one with all 10 fingers blackened? While Mujin pauses. A flicker of recognition. You've already met him. Du Baixin gasps, his heart sinking. Mujin nods, his voice utterly bored. Yeah, I shoved chopsticks in his eyes. Du Baixin's mind goes completely blank. The world stops. Sorry what? Mujin, tired of the old man's hand-wringing, fixes him with a cold, impatient stare. Head steward Du, it may be too much for you to handle, but don't measure me by that standard. If any of those pests come swarming in, I'll just kill them all. He walks away, leaving a final, simple order. Anyway, prepare some tender beef for my meal. Look after my brothers when they return. Du Baixin is left alone, trembling, his entire perception of reality, of power, and of the boy he thought he knew, shattered into a million pieces. Is this really the one Mujin I know? In the opulent, cold headquarters of the Changhua Merchant Guild, a world away, Biu Choyan is seething. Her son is crippled, her clan humiliated. An assassin, wreathed in shadows, kneels before her. A subordinate, nervous about the plan, dares to speak. She cuts him off, her voice like ice. You people who should only care about the money sure talk a lot. Her orders are simple, chilling, and brutal. Bring back the child alive. She is referring to Wadojin, Mujin's younger brother. The rest can all die. The assassin, his face hidden, chuckles with dark amusement. He understood. We'll be back before sunrise. He vanishes into the night, leaving the guild master alone in the dark, her face a mask of pure, venomous hatred. Her internal vow is one of absolute, cold destruction. I'll tear apart everything precious before your very eyes.